All right. So next up, just want to switch over to this layout here where
Mm-hmm.
I've drawn out my GAN high-low. You got the financial volume here as well. I wanted to focus on a few things here. So since the war has begun in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin has experienced a bunch of swing highs and lows. We're seeing it begin to lateralize. We're all hoping that obviously this war comes to an end soon. We've
Yes.
seen a lot of sanctions imposed on Russia by the United States, by Canada, by Germany. But then again, Russia has a lot of power in their hands, considering the pipeline that basically goes all the way to Germany, providing oil and a lot of
And
other
this is why
commodities.
Germany and Russia met yesterday, not
Mm-hmm.
Germany and Ukraine. I talked about this in my video
Right.
yesterday. People have to connect the
Interesting.
dots. Yeah, it's so if anything is going to happen from a resolution standpoint, it's going to be coming from Germany because they have the most to lose.
Right. They have the most to lose, and they're the powerhouse in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
at
Right.
least from my perspective, right?
They are. Yes.
And and they distribute all the energy to
To the
most of
rest of
Europe, right?
EU.
So,
Exactly.
right, very good, very good. So we're what 15 days into the invasion of
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine, right? The traditional markets have tanked at the beginning, but we saw some commodities increase,
Mm-hmm.
uh, such as oil, right? And we saw U.S. release some emergency oil reserves to sort of counterbalance the effects of the invasion. Some sectors have been showing a surge in stock performance, but when it comes to the cryptocurrency market, when we talk about crypto assets that have much higher liquidity than the 3-day settlement that you find in traditional markets, we really have to dive deep into the charts. But before we do so, what kind of trend do you think that we'll expect to see from the sanctions being slapped onto Russia, with the oil market basically, literally and metaphorically, up in flames? Now with Russia threatening to cut off its pipeline to Germany, it's a pretty big chess game that we're seeing now, and every player is strategically positioning themselves and planting a move. Are we looking at a long-term investment strategy for hodlers? Maybe scalping for day traders?
Hodlers, I'm concerned about because it depends on where your hodl started. If your
Mm-hmm.
hodl started at 69,000, which is, I met a guy that actually yesterday, ironically enough, met a guy, older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a buddy of mine told me that, or introduced me to him, and he introduced me as the crypto guy, the crypto expert, right? He's like, "Oh yeah,
Nice.
man, I got in here and ran into some cash, and this guy convinced me at 65,000 that we were going to 100,000. So I put a lot of money in it, and I'm just looking at him like, ugh, man." So it just all depends on where you hodled, where your hodling started. So that's why it's important to dollar cost average. I know that was one thing we were going to talk about in today's
Mm-hmm.
show. Dollar cost averaging is if your strategy is being a hodler, you must dollar cost average and not put all your chicken in at one price. Spread that across different price levels. But typically your hodlers tend to be people less savvy,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. So that's the only strategy they have is to hodl. So it's kind of hard to tell a hodler to look at price levels and pick and dollar cost average in when many times they don't understand that quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hodl a certain percentage of my portfolio, of course, but I
Mm-hmm.
actively trade about 20% of my portfolio. So
Okay. Good. The 20/80 rule.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So hodlers, I think, are in for some pain.
Mm-hmm.
I do in the short term. I mean, look,
Well,
we're at where are we trading at currently in Bitcoin? I think we're at 39,000. I mean, I think we could take another 50% haircut from here easily. That would take us to 20K.
that's that's actually very true. This was actually the first day of the war,
Mm.
and looking at the financial volume, pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. We have 4.332 trillion in volume traded that specific day. We
Wow.
saw the price being pushed down, probably a lot of people selling, right? Probably Russian oligarchs selling what they have, maybe moving money around. And then we saw a spike of maybe optimistic investors looking to drive the price back up,
So
and
you
wanted
see
to
that
actually
you see that one big candle to the right of your arrow.
right here.
That Yep, that's where the
Mm-hmm.
Russian oligarchs began. I think the sanctions went in a day or two prior to that, and that's when the oligarchs and billionaires started using Bitcoin, which is a good thing. I didn't intend or I didn't predict that this would happen because we can't think of all things, but it was great to see this happen. This happened back in 2013, late 13. I
Mm-hmm.
remember Cyprus. So the whole banking crisis, Cyprus, uh, kind of made people. They shut down their banks. They wouldn't allow people to take out any cash. I think you can only take
Mm-hmm.
out 200 or 300 euro a day. They were penalizing people with over 100,000 euro in their bank accounts. And so we did see Bitcoin. It was an early market, but I remember Bitcoin doubling from there. Bigger market now, so you won't see those types of moves, but you did see a nice pump because I really thought right there before the war started, we were actually going to make a new low. I personally thought. So we were about to make a new low. The war started. Boom. We got delayed I think, inevitable. We're still going to make that low. A new low, local low there. So,
Anilo. Anilo, and talking about dollar cost averaging, investing incrementally, we saw the effect of the global economic crisis during the pandemic. Uh, More and more people have less disposable income at the end of the day. So basically, maybe a good strategy for hodlers is to invest incrementally on a regular basis to sort of, battle the effects of inflation and volatility in the market, right?
right.
Very good. We saw here the signal change the day after the beginning of the war. We saw a temporary increase in the market. And I honed in here because this is actually an evening star, a candlestick pattern, right? So usually would signify a bearish market, but then again, with the news of the liquidity of the Russian oligarchs and moving around their assets, giving it over to the relatives, right? Boost in financial volume here, and then once again, signal changing again, and as we can see here, once more a bull market starting to grow. Do you think this is going to last for a few days, a week, or do you think that we're going to maintain that volatility for a while as the market lateralizes?
Yeah, I think we make new lows there, where I can't you can't see my mouse, but that last low there to the left we're gonna break, I believe. Right? Yep,
Mm-hmm.
right there, in the middle of the screen, kind of. I think we're gonna just take that out. This is a very bearish candle here that currently
Mm-hmm.
that we're on. What is this? The day? Is this the day candle? Day
Yep.
chart or yeah, so you
Day
see
chart.
yeah, you see yesterday we had a bullish, another short covering squeeze there on news about, honestly it wasn't about, I did in my video yesterday, I talked about everyone in the crypto markets had it wrong in my opinion about why we moved up. It wasn't because of Biden's executive order leaked, because that's not bullish
Mm-hmm.
for Bitcoin. It's not bullish for Bitcoin to see four
Yeah.
agencies, him put three or four agencies, regulatory agencies, on trying to figure out what to do with Bitcoin and crypto. That's not bullish. When has a government
It's
ever
not
been?
bullish.
Yeah, when has that ever been bullish for any asset class, any industry? More regulation, in my opinion, causes more issues and slower growth. So the real reason we saw the pop was literally because there were talks between Germany, as we just talked about, and
Mm-hmm.
Russia. And there were, on the hopes that there would be some resolution from this. It didn't happen. So now we traverse that whole pop and short squeeze. And if we close today with this red candle, uh, basically lower than where we opened yesterday, that would be just about a bearish engulf candle on the day chart.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm short, been short since yesterday. So I'm in the
Okay.
money on both Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we'll see what happens though.